Welcome to the Social Mission Revolution. Each week we explore some of the greatest undertold stories of businesses and everyday people who are making their ultimate impact on the world through social mission. This is Social Mission Revolution, and this is your host, Andrea Putting. Welcome to Social Mission Revolution. My guest today is Audrey Warren, and she is a ceremonialist, which is fascinating in itself. And her company, her business is Bean Cacao. Bean Cacao. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. I know we're talking about two of my passions in life, chocolate and social mission, all rolled into one. It's fabulous. Welcome, Audrey.
Thank you.
So, Audrey, I love to start my podcast with the magic question of, if there was just one thing for you to fight for, what would it be?
It's a wonderful question. And it came to me quickly, and yet at the same time I almost doubted it as it came, because I was like, it's almost too simple and not at the same time. And I love the wording of like fight for, because that's, when I think about what I'm doing, it's very much trying to bring the positive. But ultimately it is reconnecting people to their heart and to nature and to our natural way. So I suppose the way I see it is that we've lost our way as humans. And so it's all about healing for me, because hurt people hurt people. So yes. If we can kind of come back to our connection as humans, to our humanity, to our hearts, to nature, and not feel so separate from one another and separate from nature, then I feel like it's going to have this beautiful knock-on effect to everything else. So kind of returning to community and this village life, and just really meeting people from our hearts and healing a lot of the trauma that we carry, so that we can share from love and our heart space. So
wonderful. So that touches on one of my other passions around community and having people with each other. Yeah, very important. Which is what, to me, chocolate symbolizes.
Yeah. So
I'd love you to share with us about Bean Cacao.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, that when Andrea and I met, this chocolate has so many ways about it to connect. This is something you and I connected about, was like, yes, it can be the simplicity of sharing a hot chocolate, or indeed what I do with Bean Cacao, which is working with chocolate and cacao in its original form, in the way that chocolate was first discovered and used by the Mayans, Aztecs, Toltecs, and Olmecs, so in the region of Mexico and Guatemala. And I've been lucky enough to be spending a bunch of time in Guatemala learning from the Mayan people there about cacao and connecting to their wisdom. And then what I do is import ceremonial grade cacao, so pure cacao paste from an indigenous women collective in Guatemala, in the town that I was living. And then I offer it here, both for sale as something for people to work with at home, as well as offer ceremonies to connect with cacao. So there's a lot. Well, there's a simplicity to ceremony, and that's also what I love about this, is the simplicity of chocolate in coming together and drinking it and connecting. So the ceremonies invite people to. It's very like self-connecting, and yet within that there becomes this like opening to others as well. I feel like the more that we connect to ourselves and know ourselves and are comfortable in ourselves, then there's an easefulness in opening to others.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've brought some
Yes.
some for us to share in today, which is awesome.
Is this your first time trying it this way?
I did try some that you gave me the other day, and it was just divine. It was just a completely different chocolate experience.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I'm going to try some now.
And exactly that. It's very different to what people are used to chocolate being.
Yeah, but it still has that rich chocolate taste. And I know the first time I tried it, I thought, it depends on how you take this. I thought, I feel like I'm drinking the earth.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that it tastes like mud or dirt,
No.
which it doesn't. But that was how I felt. It felt like I was connecting in with that deep earth connection of who we are, of humanity, and beautiful.
Definitely something we connect to in my ceremonies as well. That spaciousness to drink the cacao and to feel that and so much more. And most of the time, people lay down and they kind of just melt into the earth. And it's
I actually did, because I was having it outside and I was drinking it. I thought, I need to go around the ground. So I did.
Yeah.
Fascinating. So as this is a social mission revolution, I'd love to know more about where the chocolate comes from and how that supports the community.
Yeah. So it was interesting looking at like the social mission piece of what I do, because I do feel it's almost twofold. It's my personal part, which I can come to later, but indeed it's working with the Mayan people in Guatemala, and these places like Guatemala in the world and Mexico and other places that were colonized and but still have a strong indigenous population. There's still a lot of those effects of the colonization and the poverty and the difficulty for certain towns. And the town that I was spending time in, it's called San Marcos La Laguna, and it's in Lake Atitlan, Guatemala. And so there, there's a lot of cacao flowing and a lot of beautiful people. And one of these groups of beautiful people, these women, and their collective is called Recushuleo, and Recushuleo means heart of the earth.
Lovely.
So it is a connection to the blessing in the Mayan when they share cacao, or generally share in ceremony, is a blessing of the heart of the earth and the heart of the sky. So their name reflects that. And so because I'm importing directly from these women who are sourcing the beans from the north of Guatemala and then kind of doing it themselves, they bring the beans down, they toast and peel the beans, and they prepare it all and they ship it out. And they've got a little bit of volunteer support from some expats, which is a beautiful way to, they don't speak English, so oftentimes connecting with the international community who do want their product can be a challenge. So there's a woman, Annika, there who supports them in that piece as a volunteer to support them. And then they create such beautiful cacao because they're putting their love and touch into it all, and ship it out to the world. And so for me, what's important is that the money is going to them, that this cacao that I'm using and sharing and offering is also supporting the people who have the connection to this plant. A lot of the time, the Western culture can come in and kind of take and appropriate, and there can be a bit of an imbalance in that. And for me, it's super important that we are not only ensuring that they're financially benefiting, but it's also symbiotic in the cultural element too. So another piece is where I say it's like twofold, is that I also work with Tata Walter, who is a dear friend, to ensure that we're also acknowledging the tradition and the culture that this plant has had and continues to have for the Mayan people. So it's a part of the way he talks about it too, is like, you can't separate cacao from their culture, or you can talk about it separately, but also it sits within the context of their entire cultural system and spiritual system. So I offer events and opportunities for Walter to be able to share the Mayan connection to cacao and to keep supporting that wisdom, because it got lost. A lot of it got lost with the invasion of the Spanish, and then also with the genocide and the civil war that occurred in Guatemala in the late 80s, early 90s, where there was a lot of repression of the indigenous culture, because they were the ones being killed by the Guatemalans. So it's just like now starting to return, that it's safe for them to share language, share practice, share their wisdom. And so for me, it's another part of my mission is to support that and allowing their voice as well.
Yeah, that's wonderful. There's a lot of the whole chocolate industry isn't great.
Yeah.
A lot of it is taking advantage of people of all sorts of places and cultures and decimating it, really.
Yeah.
So to be able to get cacao, and this is where I get excited about it, is like, this is where it comes from.
Yeah.
This is where it originates from. This is where it's the spirit of what cacao is all about.
Yeah.
And so it's really lovely to be able to support that growing and developing.
Exactly, yeah.
And to be able to enjoy it to its original intent.
Yeah, which I suppose almost leads me to that second part of it, of my social mission, right, is it's, again, mutually beneficial that the more that this cacao gets shared in my world here in Australia or, the US or wherever I'm working, and I see the healing effects of it and the power and the transformation that people experience, then the more they want to understand the plant, understand cacao, learn about its original use, original way. And as they purchase the cacao, they're then supporting these people and supporting where it came from in the first place. So it's kind of interwoven together.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. And I just love the whole philosophy around it and what it really means. And the opportunities for people to really use it as a tool.
Yeah. Which is exactly how it's was used and continues to be used for them. So
brilliant.
Yeah.
What else was I going to ask you?
The problem, sometimes you get the cacao and you use something like, nothing else matters right now. I'm just feeling my body and my heart.
I'm just enjoying this. That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, which is exactly kind of what cacao does, like it expands upon what's there, and it can take us in so many directions, whether it's like, really, sometimes in my ceremonies I have to be like, sorry guys, like I've lost my train of thought because the cacao is just like
it's taken hold of me.
Yep.
It's taking me into its direction.
Yep, totally.
So so for me, I see it as a brilliant tool for the work that I do, to be able to sit with a group of people and tap into where they're being guided to go on a higher level.
Yeah.
Reconnecting with that, what I call beyond the why.
Yes. Yeah. And I say, like, one of my main teachers, he talks about it a lot as well, is like cacao is a facilitator. Like it's a facilitator for exactly whatever you kind of want to bring it to. So whether it's for me, where it's a ceremonial space, returning to the sacred, returning to ourselves and our heart into our natural state in order to process and release emotions, or to be with whatever comes up and connect to spirit, or totally for a gathering of people who are wanting to connect before taking on a task, or like it's endless in the way, because cacao is so malleable in how it wants to work with us and facilitate just healing and humans coming together. And I think for me, it's also been this balance between the shadow work that cacao offers and the lightness, the joy and the expansion, because cacao as a spirit, as a plant, is here to unite us. It just wants us to be happy and joyful. And it doesn't mean it's going to say, okay, but there aren't negative feelings. Like, there's things that we do need to feel that aren't always pleasant, and yet the cacao is kind of always supporting that movement towards the joy and the peace in the heart.
So how do you, as a business, what does it mean to you to be able to incorporate, have a social mission as a part, as a strong part of that?
I mean, it's for me, it's not only a strong part. I mean, it's integral. It's not like there can't be one without the other for what I'm doing, because the mission of my business is the healing piece and is the spreading of this, and yet also, I suppose, as I'm just starting out, I'm in my first year of business, official formal business, but it means that the more I can grow the business, the more I know I can support. So aside from being able to purchase cacao from these women, which is one thing, I have big plans and desires to work with Walter and the women more in supporting women's education in the community. So a lot of the times these families don't have a lot of resources, and so the women, the young girls, are often the first to be drawn out of school so that they can support the family financially. So I'd love to be able to set up a program that allows that. So as my business grows, I can support more girls to stay in school, and also the same with the cultural piece. So Walter trains new kind of upcoming, they're sometimes called shamans, they're called day keepers in the Mayan term, or spiritual guides. And for them to go through that process, there's money involved to pay for the materials. So to be able to sponsor someone to go through that process and continue preserving that culture. So there's it's my business is kind of based upon a social mission for sure.
Yeah. So does that motivate you to keep going and to grow the business, to have that as part of it?
Yeah. And it's not only part of it, it's also such a part of me.
Yeah.
Like it's what I'm here to do, and what exactly. So I don't stop, like it's part of my every single day. Yeah.
So I just think that when you have this kind of involvement in your social mission, this kind of connection, that your business doesn't become about how much money I'm earning. It's the difference that you're making, the difference you're making to the people in Guatemala and the Mayan people, and how you can help and support that communities to grow and develop, and all the wonderful things that happen there, and also what it means to people here that you have ceremonies with, and teaching them and allowing them to experience this deep earth heart connection.
Medicine, for sure. And I think as well, I do remember one of the questions you were going to ask me. It was around almost like advice for other people. And I was like, funnily enough, like, it's how I ended up doing what I do, and it also underpins my belief in what I do, which is around, similar to cacao, it's around finding our joy and our bliss and following that, because that is what will light us up as humans. That's what will feed our heart. And so if we are able to find something that lights us up, it's going to inspire others and continue to create that kind of positive environment that we can then all be so mutually benefiting from. So there's kind of this like encouragement from me and the cacao to like follow your joy. I just think about, so many wonderful humans out there have a desire to do good and to make change. And I think the most important thing there is making sure that it's something that is you're connected to, and that isn't going to deplete you too much. There's this risk in our culture as well of the martyr, of the going to that point of burnout. And that's also where I think like part of me is like, and this is where cacao ceremony is a beautiful space for those who are, out there serving, to also make sure that they're serving themselves and looking after themselves, because they're going to be better supported to then continue with what their cause is and what they're here to share.
Yeah. So, and I feel that part of finding your own personal social mission is very much about that. It's what is it that sparks my passion, that really speaks so strongly to me that I can't not do it.
Yeah.
And that we use our own particular skills, and what are our skills and talents that are going to work together with that passion. Once you find those little connections, there's no stopping you. You just have to keep doing it. You just have to do it.
Yeah, because I feel like I have a lot of artist or musician friends who sometimes feel like, oh, it's pointless what I do, and like it doesn't make a difference. And it's like it's not true. Like, you're doing something you love, and people are affected by your art and your music, and you can always offer it in ways that can support it. Like, it doesn't have to be as clear cut as literally flying somewhere to like be on the ground, getting dirty or I don't know. Yeah, there's so many ways to.
Yeah, I've actually had a couple of artists on my podcast because what they are bringing to the world is something that affects people.
Yeah,
it connects them with their emotions, with who they are, and both thinking. I had two different painters come to think of it, but both that their work affects people in certain ways. Like, one's a wildlife artist, how that opens people up and connects them with that.
Yeah.
As well as them using it as a social mission. But we need those connections with so many different things to help us to be whole and fulfilled in life.
Yeah, exactly. And it's why I like when asking me what the one thing I would fight for, it's why I gave that answer, because I see all these things that I could have said,
Mm-hmm.
I see them as the symptoms of the disconnection that we're experiencing. So things exactly like art and music are bringing us back to be able to connect. And it doesn't mean to not go out and deal with the symptoms of this sometimes very challenged and difficult world that we live in, but that it's not the only work. Like that there's the surface out there on the front, and then there's the underneath, the hidden work inside.
Yeah. So for me, my background is in naturopathy.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first thing you learn is you always treat the cause,
Yes.
not the symptom.
Yes.
So I think that comes back to everything. And if we look at everything that happens in the world, we can go back to that cause of people feeling whole and fulfilled within themselves.
Yeah. And then not connected. Like I think, for me, and funnily enough, like before and whilst doing this cacao work, my other work has been in politics, is working with the Greens. And so, looking at our disconnection from nature and the environment, and therefore what these big companies are doing to the world that we live in. And you just can't help but thinking, well, like if they were actually connected and felt themselves as a part of the world, they wouldn't be doing this, because they'd be harming themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
yeah. I really think it's a big part of, well, it's a big part of what I do. It's a big part of what you do, is that we need to connect deeper into the soul, which the cacao is. is doing. It's very, it has that opportunity to open us up. And I think that I'm going to have to start using some of your cacao in my work with helping people to connect in with that part of themselves too.
And there's so many ways. I mean, we've touched on a few, and there's no one way, and no right or wrong, except as long as it's nourishing us. That's what's important.
Beautiful. So I'd love you to share with us, how can people work with you, get in touch with you, all that kind of, what tell us a little bit about the ceremonies.
Yeah, sure. So what I love about the work I offer or do, or what I create, is the simplicity. I think I mentioned earlier is, what we're doing is what our ancestors did thousands of years ago, is returning to circles, returning to being in a circle. There's a magic that can happen when humans sit in circles. And the cacao it's part of it. And so we gather together in circle, we'll do a blessing for the cacao before we drink it. There'll be a short sharing with a prompt from me, so that everyone's voice is shared. I'll talk about the cacao, maybe a little theme that has come to me, and then move into a guided meditation. And the meditation piece for me is where it just really lets people fully experience and feel the medicine. And the words that I share are, I'm channeling it, it's just coming through, it's just however it needs to. And I have to kind of just get out of the way and trust that they're important and not important at the same time. What I'm saying, it's very much just there to hold people so that they can have their own connection to the cacao. And what's beautiful is the diverse range of experiences that people have. It's anything from bliss and elation to really going into grief and really crying and really feeling their feelings, or there can be an understanding of a moment of past or something in the present that is a difficulty. Like there's just, I can never tell you what you're going to experience.
Yeah, so it's a whole variety. It's whatever that person needs at that particular moment.
And it's been 6 years I've been working with this medicine, and I'm still surprised at the depth of transformation and the depth of the experiences that people have. It's really humbling and beautiful, and such an honor to be holding that space for people and sharing that. And through COVID, through this lockdown time, I did shift the ceremonies online, and they've been quite small, but also have been incredibly deep. Like it's been really surprising to see, surprising and not maybe at the same time, that even as we're apart, we were able to really connect. Like the people could could really feel the support of me, the cacao, but also of the other people who they've never met. I ran a little course, and at the end of it, like, we did maybe 5 or 6 sessions together over 2 weeks, and they didn't want to leave each other. They were so connected. And it's, again, like, you know, thanks cacao for like opening people up in such a beautiful way. So I'm actually offering that course again starting on Thursday this week. So it'll be 5 sessions over basically 2.5 weeks. And I'm actually going to keep that one online. It was really lovely because it means that anyone from anywhere can kind of join.
Yeah, there's the blessing of the whole being locked down has allowed you to open up to a bigger audience, so your worldwide audience now can come and experience the cacao with you. Ceremony.
And there's so many incredible facilitators all over the world doing similar to what I do. But and many of them are my friends and community, global cacao community that exists. And then, ceremony-wise, well, now that we're getting some good news here in Melbourne, I'm hoping to run one in person before the end of the year, but definitely in the new year we'll be kind of putting some new offerings out, which is really exciting. I'm usually around like Brunswick area, but now living out here in the beautiful bush, so I might put something in Warrandyte. But I've always put all my events up on the website, which is www.lovebeancacao.com. I have a mailing list, which is you can sign up to on there, and you can even download a couple of meditations on my website, which can either be used without cacao, but one of them is kind of a blessing, so you can sit and listen as you're drinking the cacao, and the other one's a more guided process or meditation, so you can get a bit of a sense of what it's like even if you haven't got cacao, and then you might get curious. And the other website is also where I sell both the half pound and the pound blocks, as well as the smaller samples. So I know, I'm trying to, it's pretty new to people working with chocolate in this way, so trying to make it accessible, and I find it is such an accessible tool and way to start connecting to meditation or to the more spiritual way of being and living. So aside from my website and my mailing list, I'm also relatively active on Instagram. I like Instagram, so that's Love Bean Cacao, and on Facebook as well. So and I'm always like, cacao is my favorite thing, right? So I'm always happy to reach out. After there's a good FAQ on my website, but I'm happy to answer any questions that people might have as well. People are often like, what? Cacao ceremony? What?
How does that all work?
Yeah.
And it is quite a different taste and experience than going down and buying a bit of chocolate from the shop. But the richness and the depth of it is beautiful. So I thank you for coming on and coming over and sharing cacao with me. And thank you for sharing with everyone about cacao, and I'm sure that people want to know more about that. Get in touch with you, and I'll put the link in the
thanks for having
in the information.
I love it. 2 chocolate lovers coming together. It's just
How could it be anything different? Who want to use chocolate for the same idea of bringing people together and opening up their hearts. Wonderful. So that's all we have time for today, and we'll be back next time with another Social Mission Revolutionist.
This has been the Social Mission Revolution with Andrea Putting. Join me again next week when we'll speak to another Social Mission Revolutionist who will inspire you on your journey to making your ultimate impact on the world.